Chapter 1. Calloway. Another day. I stood at the kitchen counter, waiting for the kettle to boil, my hands wrapped around a chip mug that had survived longer than most things in my life. The familiar ritual of making tea had become my anchor, precise movements that required no words, no explanations, no struggle to make myself understood. Outside, my garden was beginning its September transformation. The tomato plants drooped with the weight of the last green fruits that would never ripen, and the herbs had that desperate vitality that comes before the first frost. I'd need to harvest the basil today or tomorrow, maybe make pesto to freeze. These small tasks filled my days now, each one a tiny victory against the silence that pressed in from all sides. The phone rang, shattering the morning quiet. Yes, I still had an old-fashioned landline. Of course, I also had a cell phone, but very few people had that number. I didn't believe in always being available, and on top of that, I hated being forced to speak at unexpected moments. I let the call go to voicemail like I always did. My own voice filled the kitchen. "You've reached Calloway Gilstrip. Please leave a message." Even in the recording, I could hear the careful pronunciation, the way I'd practiced that simple sentence dozens of times to get it smooth. "Calloway, it's Janet. I know you're probably screening, but I wanted to check in about the anthology deadline. We'd really love to have something from you about..." I hit the button to stop listening to the message. I knew what she wanted. Something about Marcus, something about grief and healing and moving forward, as if moving forward was a destination you could reach rather than a daily decision to put one foot in front of the other. The kettle whistled, and I poured water over the Earl Grey, watching the color bloom like ink in water. I've discovered you could live an entire life without speaking if you were careful enough. Online grocery orders, self-checkout lanes, a small town where everyone knew your peculiarities and worked around them. It wasn't living, exactly, but it was existing, and most days that felt like enough. I carried my tea to the small table by the window, where a stack of books waited. They were my constant companions, my silent friends. On top was a volume of Mary Oliver poetry, pages soft from reading. I opened it randomly, a sort of bibliomancy I'd practiced since childhood, and froze. There, pressed between Wild Geese and The Journey, was one of Marcus's bookmarks, a strip of leather with his initials embossed in gold, worn smooth from his fingers. He'd had a dozen of them, scattered through our apartment like breadcrumbs, marking his place in whatever he was reading. I couldn't read any further. My hands shook as I closed the book, trapping the bookmark back inside like I could trap the memory, keep it from ambushing me 7 years later. 7 years. Some days it felt like yesterday, finding him on the bathroom floor. He'd collapsed while I was at the farmer's market buying heirloom tomatoes. His shortness of breath and vague chest pain had been a pulmonary embolism rather than the beginning of a cold, like he'd thought. He never felt a thing, the pathologist who'd done the autopsy had assured me, but that offered little comfort. Other days, it felt like I'd lost him a lifetime ago, like I'd been this version of myself, quiet, careful, old, forever. I forced myself to pick up another book, desperate for some distraction. If I allowed the pain in, it would freeze me all over again, immobilize me to the point of becoming a complete hermit, and maybe this time it would be forever. Luckily, the collection of short stories managed to grab my attention, and it was 11 o'clock before I realized it. Time for my morning errands.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.